Hi, welcome back. Let's continue where we left off, and I think what we did was we got the character to grab oh man. Yeah, okay, so we did get him to grab, and there's still some stuff we need to do. So I'm just gonna comment this, call it grab ledge. Okay, so we first need to tell it to let go of the ledge. So create a custom event, call it let go of ledge. Okay, so from the let go of ledge, we want to set the movement component, set movement mode back to walking. Okay, and in order to trigger this, we need a additional input. So I'm going to go to edit, project settings, go to input and add actions. I'm going to add a new one, and I'm going to call this crouch. Of course, you might want to use it for crouching as well. Just going to make my key S on the keyboard. Okay, that's there. And also we need to go to the blueprint interface. We're going to create a new function, and we'll call this can grab. Sorry, we're not going to call this. We already have can grab. We'll just take that off for now. Compile. Okay, so we have to get the anim instance to tell the animation instance that it's no longer grabbing the ledge. We're gonna run that interface, or call that interface, can grab ledge bi, set it to false, and then we should have a bool value that says is hanging that we need to set to false. So create a variable, call it is hanging, set it to false, and then go up here, and then when we do the move component 2, when it's grabbing the ledge, we want to set that it is hanging. And so I'm just going to add it in front of the move component 2, because I don't want to wait for it to actually reach the target before setting it. Just make sure you set it to true. Okay, and now we should be able to let go of the ledge. Let's just have a look. It's not letting go. That's because we haven't actually implemented the crouch input event. Crouch input. Okay, there we go. I'm going to move this over to my controls so everything is in the same place. And I'm going to say when it is pressed, it's going to do a branch, and it's going to check is it hanging. Okay, and if it is hanging, then we want to let go of the ledge. If it is false, you can plug that into your do a crouch or whatever you have on that input. Okay, so let's try it again. It should work now. You still need to fix this thing where it climbs up before anything even happens. Okay, so it's not going to grab again, and the reason for that is because we have that do once here, and this do once is never being reset. So I think the best approach would be to actually remove the do once. But we also don't want it to grab in all instances. So we'll just do another quick check. And as opposed to the do once, we'll just create another branch. I'm just going to plug that in. And from this, I'll go to select. And from the select, change that to a bool value. You know what, let's leave the select, let's not make this too complicated. Let's do in range. What we want to do is we want to check if the hips are a certain height. So to do that we need a socket location. You can probably do this another way, but I'm going to use a socket. So just open your skeleton, go to the skeleton, select the pelvis and add a socket, and let's call this socket, hip socket. I'm going to call it hip socket. Okay, so that sockets we're going to get the information from. The only thing I've noticed is that if you type it in there, it's not updating here. I don't know if it's a bug or what, but just update it there for sanity. Okay, let's go back and create a new variable. Apologies, there might be some background noise. It's quite noisy lately. I'm going to call this hip socket, change this to name, compile, and in the default value I'm just changing it to hip socket again just to be safe. And now we can get this, get the location, get the socket location of the mesh. Okay, and we want to minus this with the ledge height, so we'll minus, get the ledge height that we created. Okay, so it'll take the socket minus the ledge height, and we might want to swap them around. We might want to, oh no, that should be good. It'll give us a positive value if he's above and a negative value if he's below. We don't actually want the entire location, we just want the z value. So you don't want to be getting confused with x and y values as well. Break. So just break those two and then minus the z values. Okay, and that should give us a good height, and then we need to find a minimum and a maximum. So to figure that out, it's more of a trial and error sort of thing of what works for you. So I want to check if the hips are 50 units below and a maximum of, actually I don't want the hips to be above at all, but let's keep that 0. Okay, so only when it's in this range will it grab onto it. I'm going to collapse this to a macro. Wonder if that's a good idea. Let's just do it. So just remember these values, minus 50 and 100, okay? Because we'll add that on the macro, so we don't have to go into the macro to modify our settings. Now I'm going to call this ledge height to hip, maybe. What can we call it? What's a good description for this? Hip distance to ledge, maybe. That's hip to ledge distance. So open it up, select input and add to float. Okay, and we'll call this the minimum and the maximum. Okay, and plug that into the min and max values. It makes life a little easier if we need to tweak settings. And that was minus 50 and 0, I believe. Okay, cool. Got that. And now that do once is no longer in the picture, we should be able to grab on and let go, and then grab on and let go again. Let's check it out. Oh yeah, there's see, that's why I said in the previous tutorial the dude looks weird. He doesn't actually just look like that. As you can see, he's leaning, and the reason for this is because the capsule is actually rotated. I don't know if you can see on the video, but the capsule is rotated, And that's because when we move the character to, we're getting the target relative rotation. And to fix this, we'll just break the rotation, and pitch should stay the same, and we'll make a rotation. Let's just put pitch in there, and your actually pitch should be 0, I believe. So plug that in there instead. That way it won't get some weird pitch value and start rotating the guy in weird angles. Okay, so as you can see, we can still do stuff like fly around, which we don't want. So to fix that, we'll just update our controls. Just gonna comment this quickly and say let go of ledge. Okay, I'm gonna keep them together and move this up. The reason I'm moving this, okay, let's leave it there for now. Bam. We don't want to do any movement while we're on the ledge. I'm gonna branch. I'm gonna say is hanging. Get. Okay, and I'm just gonna copy and paste this to here. So at least the sideway keys won't be doing anything. Okay, so we can now grab the ledge and oh, what is happening? Is hanging must be false. My bad. Going a bit fast. Is hanging, if it's false, then do it. If it's true, then don't do it. Okay, cool. Okay, right, so, oh wait, I actually wanted to not just let go, so I'm pressing sideways, I don't know if you can hear that. So the other thing is, if you're pressing jump, nothing happens. If you're pressing up, nothing happens, only if you press down. You can implement some other logic for shimmying sideways and things, but we're not going to do that right now. In fact, I'm not sure if we're going to do that, but we are going to do the other states. Okay, so we want the guy to climb up now when we press jump or up. So I think the best would be to create another custom event, but before we do that, we're going to have an animation, and we need another event, another function in the blueprint interface. So just open up your blueprint interface and go to functions, add a function and call it climbing ledge. Climbing ledge underscore BI. The reason I keep adding underscore BI is not only for the purpose of identifying what I'm working with, but occasionally I'm single-minded and my variables are created with the same names, and as a result, once you implement without thought, you're implementing a function there that's got the same name, then everything just goes all whack. Your variables are getting renamed and stuff, and I don't like that. So that's why I'm always doing the BI. Call this can grab. Oh no, man, not can grab. Is climbing. Is climbing. Okay. I'll compile. I'm just gonna save everything. Let's go to the blueprint of the character. Let's go to its animation assets. So let's select this, leave it open there for now. In the description you should see a placeholder. If you started too late with the tutorials, then you should already have seen the placeholder on the website. So there's a climb ledge placeholder. It's nothing amazing. It's literally just a placeholder. Okay. Open it up, and then we're going to change its enable root motion, set it to on. Okay, cool. That's done. Then right click on it again and say create animation montage. I'm not going to rename it, I'm leaving it that way. I'm opening up the montage, and then I'm going to click on the hourglass under the default group. I'm going to create a new group, and I'm going to call this group TPS slot, maybe TPS underscore slot, third person shooter underscore slot. And I'm going to create a new slot in there in the group, and I'm just going to call this TPS. Okay, then go to your third person, go back to your animation. We want the animation blueprint. It's this one. Let's go to the animation graph, move this back, and add that slot there, so when we do play animations, they'll actually show up on the screen, and we won't wonder why nothing's happening. And just make sure you select the correct one. Now, for a sanity check, click on Edit Defaults on the left, and root motion should be set to from montages only. We only want it from montages for our purposes. And just make sure you don't set it under Edit Preview, because if you do it under Edit Preview, it's not going to necessarily work in the game. It needs to be under the defaults. Okay, now, where were we? We created this. Now we want a function to actually climb the ledge. So I'm going to create a custom event, and I'm going to call it climb ledge. Okay, so that is created. Just want to see something is strange or not. No, nothing is strange. Maybe I'm just sleepy. Okay, we're gonna branch out. So when we fire a climb ledge event, we're gonna check is climbing ledge. So if you don't like working for from false, you can just add not and then work from true instead. We want to set the movement mode again. We're going to set it to flying. And I don't know if you remember, but in the first tutorial, I made this terrible comment saying that the reason I'm using flying is because it works for me. And even though it is true that it does work for me, there's another reasoning behind it, is because I know then that these states are all bound to the flying movement mode, and I can use that for checks more easily. Get the animation instance, okay, and then do the ledge climb interface event we created, okay, and set that to true. Let's compile and save it. And then when we do set that to true, we want to say is climbing ledge in this one. We want to set it to true, because it's when it's busy climbing, we want that bool to go true. And I'm going to say set is hanging to false. You might say I keep adding lots of variables, doing the same functions over and over, but that's because when I initially created the system, I ran into so many bugs, and debugging it was a nightmare. So there's definitely room to optimize this system, but this should get you started and hopefully get a cool dude running and climbing and stuff. In the animation graph, we're going to add that event that we created, the blueprint interface event. And then we need to promote this to a variable, and I'm going to call this variable is climbing. There's a caps issue there. Is climbing, okay, and then if it is climbing, we want to play a montage, and we'll select the climbing montage we created, okay, and set can grab, cab grab. What is it with me and cab grab? Maybe it's because they're so close to each other. You see, that's one of the things I just mentioned earlier, is that your variables start being renamed. So you can see the can grab is now underscore O. We can leave it like that for now. And I'm going to set that to false, and then also go back to your montage We should have done this in the first place. I'm just going to pause this. It's extra distracting. Go to the notifiers in the montage and add a new notify, and we'll call that climbing end. Climbing end. Select it. Under event, select branching point, and then just save it. Now back in your animation blueprint, we have that end of the climbing animation now. So just move that and then try and get the pawn owner. Okay, and we're gonna basically send the interface event to that side now. Interface climbing ledge. Okay, so we're sending it there. Before we send it, let's first tell the montage to stop. So stop montage, because we want to stop that animation from playing anymore. Okay, and then set is climbing to false, and maybe for sanity can grab to false as well, but we already set it there, so it might not be necessary. Let's leave it out. Let's try and not be overly paranoid about everything. I'm just going to comment this out, or not out, I'm going to comment this, and I'm going to call it ledge climbing normal / normal. Now the reason I'm calling this normal is because by the end of this we will have various climbing methods. We'll have the hands, the knees, and the feet, so we'll have 3 effectively. Let's go back to third person character. So what we're going to do is we're going to get that event interface event climb, and we're going, it looks weird, it needs to be event climbing. Okay, there we go, that looks better. And then from this we can set the bool value, but I don't think it's necessary, so let's just set the movement mode of the character back to walking. Okay, and then also maybe we should set that bool. So just going to check what we're doing here. We're sending it back, and we're sending it to false. So is climbing ledge set. We're going to say you don't necessarily have to do it with this value here. You can actually just leave it there and say false, but for sanity I'm doing that. Okay, so let's see if anything happens. Nothing will happen actually. Yeah, I'm right, nothing will happen, because even though we have this function, we're still not calling it. So let's go to jump. There's jump. I'm going to pull this back, and I'm going to branch. Okay, and then if jump is pressed, I basically want to check, am I hanging? If I am hanging is true, then I don't want to jump. So let's just move this away. Yeah. I want to jump if I'm not hanging, and if I am hanging, I want to climb the ledge. Yo, this looks terrible. Okay, cool. So now it should work. Okay, press jump. Okay, cool, he did something there. It just looked very, very weird. Like the animation was not playing at all. That's probably because in our animation montage, we never changed the group to the correct one. So let's send that to the correct one. Try it again. Boom. Okay, so it pops up. Cool. So that's it. I'm wondering if we should cut this short, or if I can maybe squeeze in a next step quick. Maybe for now, let's leave it at this. Cool. Thanks for watching, guys.